ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਵਾਰ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਭਗਵਤੀ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹੀ 10ਵੀਂ। ਪ੍ਰਥਮ ਭਗਵਤੀ ਸਿਮਰ ਕੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਲਈ ਧਿਆਏ, ਅੰਗਦ ਗੁਰੂ ਤੇ ਅਮਰਦਾਸ ਰਾਮਦਾਸੇ ਹੋਏ ਸਹਾਏ। ਅਰਜਨ ਹਰ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਨੂੰ ਸਿਮਰੋ, ਸ੍ਰੀ ਹਰਿ ਰਾਏ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਹਰਿ ਕ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨ ਧਿਆਈਐ। ਜਿਸ ਡਿਠੈ ਸਭ ਦੁਖ ਜਾਏ, ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਸਿਮਰਿਐ। ਕਰ ਨੌ ਨਿਧ ਆਵੇ ਧਾਏ, ਸਭ ਥਾਈ ਹੋ ਜੀ ਸਹਾਏ। 10ਵੇਂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਪੰਥ ਦੇ ਵਾਲੀ, ਸਭ ਥਾਈ ਹੋ ਜੀ ਸਹਾਏ। 10 ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਜੋਤ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਪਾਠ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਦੀਦਾਰ ਦਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਧਰ ਕੇ ਬੋਲਣਾ ਜੀ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਮਾਣਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਮਾਣ, ਨਿਤਾਣਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਤਾਣ, ਨਿਓਟਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਓਟ, ਨਿਆਸਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਆਸਰੇ, ਕਾਰਨ ਕਰਨ ਪਿਤਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਉਹ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਗੁਰ। ਅਰਦਾਸ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਹੈ ਦਾਤਾਰ ਪਿਤਾ ਜੀ, ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਮਿਹਰ ਦਇਆ ਦਾ ਸਦਕਾ ਸਾਈਬਰ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੁੜਨ ਲੱਗੀ ਹੈ। ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਆਗਿਆ ਬਖਸ਼ਣੀ, ਸਨਮਤ ਬਖਸ਼ਣੀ, ਆਪਣੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਆਪ ਕਰਵਾਉਣੇ, ਅੱਖਰ ਵਾਧਾ ਘਾਟਾ ਭੁੱਲ ਚੁੱਕ ਮਾਫ ਕਰਨੀ, ਸਰਬੱਤ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਜ ਰਾਸ ਕਰਨੇ। ਸਹੀ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਮਿਲਣੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਚਿਤਾਵੇ। ਨਾਨਕ ਨਾਮ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ, ਤੇਰੇ ਭਾਣੇ ਸਰਬੱਤ ਦਾ ਭਲਾ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Should we start, Harvinder?
Hanji, sure.
Hanji, Vaji Khalsa, Vaji Fateh ji. Ravinder Singh connecting from Columbus. Welcome to another session of Khoj Gurbani. Today we are going to move on to stanzas 28 through 31 of the Japji. I think we made the decision that we were going to combine them because there is a common theme running through them, or at least so it appeared to me. And the theme is the themes are quite broad, covering morality, ethics, and I think also the idea of, and I'm reading a little bit from what I wrote many years ago, elitism versus popular consciousness. I don't know what I was thinking then, but we'll figure out. So we want to talk about, so these stanzas, these pauris typically are Guru Nanak's sort of addressing the yogis, the Nath yogis in general, maybe specifically the Aipanthis, and is in fact challenging their lifestyle that consisted of going about begging for alms door to door with a begging bowl, with a joli, large earrings, munda, and so on. And he refers to these, and is in fact then, I think, offering a counter sort of to them by saying that perhaps it is inner qualities that we need to be cultivating, and that in fact becomes the basis for dharma. And or dharam, as we talked about in previous pauris. So what I would suggest to you is that we look at these 4 pauris together as far as possible. That's what I'm suggesting, unless someone has another opinion. What I would do is I would ask one of you to actually read the 4 pauris together first. Do I have a volunteer to do that? If not, ਦਿਲਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰੋਗੇ?
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਦਿਓ ਫਿਰ।
ਮੁੰਦਾ ਸੰਤੋਖ ਸਰਮਪਤ ਚੋਲੀ, ਧਿਆਨ ਕੀ ਕਰੋ ਵਿਭੂਤ। ਖਿੰਤਾ ਕਾਲ ਕੁਵਾਰੀ ਕਾਇਆ, ਜੁਗਤ ਡੰਡਾ ਪ੍ਰਤੀਤ। ਆਈ ਪੰਥੀ ਸਗਲ ਜਮਾਤੀ, ਮਨ ਜੀਤੈ ਜਗ ਜੀਤ। ਆਦੇਸ ਤਿਸੈ ਆਦੇਸ, ਆਦ ਅਨੀਦ ਅਨਾਦ ਅਨਾਹਤ। ਜੁਗ ਜੁਗ ਏਕੋ ਵੇਸ, ਭੁਗਤ ਗਿਆਨ ਦਇਆ ਭੰਡਾਰਨ। ਘਟ ਘਟ ਵਾਜੈ ਨਾਦ, ਆਪ ਨਾਥ ਨਾਥੀ ਸਭ ਜਾਂ ਕੀ। ਰਿੱਧ ਸਿੱਧ ਅਵਰਾ ਸਾਧ, ਸੰਜੋਗ ਵਿਜੋਗ ਦੋਇ ਕਾਰ ਚਲਾਵੈ। ਲੇਖੈ ਆਵੈ ਭਾਗ, ਆਦੇਸ ਤਿਸੇ ਆਦੇਸ। ਆਦ ਅਨੀਤ ਅਨਾਦ ਅਨਾਹਤ, ਜੁਗ ਜੁਗ ਏਕੋ ਵੇਸ। ਏਕਾ ਮਾਈ ਜੁਗਤ ਵਿਆਈ, ਤਿੰਨ ਚੇਲੇ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਨ। ਇੱਕ ਸੰਸਾਰੀ ਇੱਕ ਭੰਡਾਰੀ, ਇੱਕ ਲਾਏ ਦੀਵਾਨ। ਜਿਵ ਤਿਸ ਭਾਵੈ ਤਿਵੇਂ ਚਲਾਵੈ, ਜਿਵ ਹੋਵੇ ਫੁਰਮਾਨ। ਉਹ ਵੇਖੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਦਰ ਨਾ ਆਵੈ, ਬਹੁਤਾ ਇਹ ਵਿਡਾਣ। ਆਦੇਸ ਤਿਸੈ ਆਦੇਸ, आद अनील अनाद अनाहत जुग जुग एको वेस आसन लोय लोय भंडार जो किछ पाया सो एकावार कर कर वेखै सिरजनहार नानक सच्चे की साची कार आदेश तिसै आदेश आद अनील अनाद अनाहत जुग जुग एको वेस वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा।
Thank you, Ji, Dilpreet Singh Ji. Let me call on Dr. Ajay Singh first, since he has sort of made an appearance after a long gap. I think that deserves the first call.
No, that deserves the last call. I've been out of action for quite a while.
Well, I think this should give you some good practice. Do you want to go first?
No. The first practice is listening. The speaking comes later.
Sune Mani, okay. All right. Then let me go to Ekunkar Kaurji. Do you want to give us your take on what you think about these pauris, especially what strikes you? Obviously, we know that this is criticism of the lifestyle of the yogis, but how do you sort of perceive them, and what do you think we walk away from these pauris?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't, I don't think it's criticism. I think it's about elevation first. I mean, and I think that these pauris are, I think what Guru Nanak does in the 28th and the 29th pauris is say, look, whatever path you're walking, whatever practice you're doing, it's about consciousness. It's not about outer show or outer ritual. And he's anchoring us in the 28th and the 29th to like a spiritual consciousness that any person can develop whoever they may be, whatever they might be associated with. Because the last refrain of all these pauris to me is pretty compelling. Ades to say ades, ad anila nad anahat, that he's getting into this total bowing to the one who is beyond form and beyond sound, and he's saying, look, human being, one actually can't be captured in a form or a name or a color. Like, we want to fix God in our image and then create rituals around that and create territory around it. And he's saying, no, get out of that mindset. Just bow to the formless, bow to the one beyond all these things, because it's just one consciousness. It might take different forms and colors, but it's really just this one that's beyond all of these categorizations. And if you want to do something with your mind, don't ritualize God, work on cultivating certain qualities in yourself. And then the 30th and the 31st to me are more about how to hold a view of creation. So, one is about the mind. Like, for me, Gurbani's always going back and forth between how I need to train my mind and how I need to see the universe. How I need to train me, how I need to see the universe. And so the 30th and the 31st to me are all about how we're supposed to see this outer play without getting trapped in a conceptualization of it. And, he goes into the creative process, and he gives honor to the mother, to the Shakti, Ekamaya Jugataviyaya. Guru Nanak is not afraid of the divine feminine, and he expresses it in his poetry. And so he honors the divine feminine in the 30th Pauri and talks about the creative play and how the divine sees everything, but nobody can see it, and that's such a great drama, and can we learn to hold ourselves that way? And then in the 31st, to me, the 31st Pauri is actually a fabulous Pauri for the age of space. Is that you had that no matter where we go, if we become a human race that explores the cosmos, there's the one, no matter what the throne looks like, wherever we might meet, whoever we might meet, it's the same one consciousness. And that I think this Pauri is a reminder, is that the creative play, whatever's been put in place, it's not like we can waste it or waste the time, that whatever was placed there by you was placed once and for all. That, like, once you destroy something, it's not so easy to get it back again, and it's a reminder to have reverence for the creativity of God, not to throw it away, not to be disrespectful of it, and then again, just kind of honoring that the one is always watching, even if we can't see it or know it. So that to me, it's addressing the mind, how to train ourselves, how to see the world. It's honoring the divine feminine in a really deep way, and it's, you know, bringing us back to the all I can know is that there's one, and then what to do to work on myself. So that's kind of my input on these different verses.
Okay, thank you very much. Dilpreet Singh, do you wish to sort of give us share your thoughts on this? I mean, Kunkarji has very sort of aptly suggested that the first two of these pauris are more about cultivating inner virtues, and the latter two then become, you know, how you perceive the creator in creation. What are your thoughts?
Right. I was also stuck on these bodies for some time. I was thinking that what is the message and what is the message for us? The way I look at these is that, first of all, this Guru Nanak Dev Ji is challenging the principles of Yog Mat in first two bodies. He is challenging them to the core, and then he is giving his perspective that how you should follow or what is his definition of Yog Mat. And then in the third one, he is challenging the beliefs of the Hindu system, which was very prevalent at that time. He is challenging those beliefs of Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, those that one is the creator and one gives things and the other one is the responsible for life and death. And then he is challenging that, and then he is explaining that what he thinks. So it is very, very touching, like Munda Santok Sarampat Choli Dhyan Ki Karo Vibhut. And then this is where he is saying that if you want this, and then he gives his definition. And then again, Pugat Gyan Daya Pandaran, I was stuck on this Pugat Gyan. This is one of the greatest message he is giving to the yogis, that this ashes or the vibhuti or whatever you are keeping, and you are giving that vibhuti to everyone, and you are saying that this will change you or this will benefit you. He is challenging their basic principles, that if you want to give something to someone, then give knowledge, and then make them self-sufficient. And then, so if you want that somebody should be benefited, this is the knowledge is the only thing which will benefit them. So instead of giving this ash, you need to distribute knowledge. That is where. And then in the third body, again he's challenging the principle of Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, that they don't exist, and he's challenging that. He is saying, "Oh vekhe ona nadar na ave bahta hai vidan," that creator. And then he has a very nice way of emphasizing in these bodies, which struck me the most, that in the previous bodies, Guru Nanak has shown us that the creator is in his creation. He has explained that. And this is another way, or he has given another dimension to explain the same concept, that creator is in his creation, and there is no point in trying to explore the creator, and no way we can find his end. So this Ad, that he has been there from the beginning, Anil, that that you cannot put any blame on him. So he is very clear, or that is the Nirpao and Nirvair kind of the characteristics. Anad, that you cannot find the end of him. Anahat, that there is no name, we cannot define his name. Then Jugo Jugad Saj, the same concept. So he is reiterating those concepts again and again. And then at the same time, when he is condemning those things, then he is giving us also, he is giving his perspective. So he's saying that if we want to do a ritual, or if we want to follow something, then the rituals which Guru Nanak wants to follow is contentment, and he wants to follow hard working, and he wants to follow the ritual of operating under the hukam. So he is giving his perspectives everywhere, that if you want to follow the real rituals, so as per him, these are the real rituals which we need to follow, not what yogis were doing, leaving their place, and then they were going to the jungle and then practicing things there. So he is challenging all of those concepts, and then he is giving his perspective. And the last one is very interesting. Okay, if you give me 30 more seconds.
Sure.
So the last one is, again, Guru Nanak is explaining that people used to pray to God that, okay, this prayer will change this, or if you do this ritual, then things will change. Then he is saying, no, the Creator has created this, and he has created this with some assumptions, and then he is not adding or he is not changing those things. That Guru Nanak is very clear here that the Creator is created this Pandara, and then he has put whatever he wanted at one time. So that is not going to change anymore. So he is bringing a very clear concept that if we are thinking that our prayers or our rituals or anything will change anything anywhere, he is saying no. He has, everything is done, and he is not going to alter that. And so this takes us to the concept of this self-sufficient or self-creating, that the things are not going to change, and it is up to us how we operate, and it is self-adjusting nature. So all these good concepts are there. I think we need to spend more time on each of this and see that how it will apply us and what changes we have to, or what changes it will bring in our thinking or our understanding of Vaheguru on this surrounding. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji. Okay, Dilpreet has brought out another perspective where Ekunkar Ji talked about elevation. I think Dilpreet Singh is quite clear that this is definitely a challenge to the yogic or the Nath yogis, and a critique of their lifestyles. And I think he's sort of gone through the different aspects of that lifestyle. Dr. Rajat Singh, are you ready now to jump in with your thoughts?
Let me jump in. The ready part will take us time.
Okay, please do jump in then.
Let me. There were a couple of other things you said, Dilpreet, that interest me. You say that. And I agree with you that when we use prayers, we use them like a bargaining chip. It's a commercial transaction, a transactional affair. We'll say our prayers, we'll do our account part of whatever we're going to do, and poor old God will change his writ to suit our needs. And you said that that doesn't happen. Now, Gurbani also says to you in many places that it will happen, that what's been pre-written can be wiped out, or so you hear in Gurdwaras. How do you reconcile the two? How do you reconcile?
Okay, Dilpreet, that's a question aimed at you.
Not really aimed at you.
Oh, I thought you were asking him.
Well, I am asking him because he framed it. So I'm starting with him, but the question is to generally put.
Okay, so do you want to take the first stab at answering it then, since you have the floor?
No, I would rather have somebody else answer it and give me more time to think and listen.
Okay. Harvinder, a few people have joined. Can you help me out?
Anji, Paramjit Singh ji, Ranbir uncle, and Gurjit Singh ji.
Acha. Uncle ji, Ranbir Singh Uncle ji, do you want to comment? Have you heard what was going on? Is he there?
I think he's on mute.
Okay.
So he may need to unmute.
Okay, very well. Let me go to Gurjit Singh ji. Virji, can you hear me?
I'm on line.
Okay, Uncle, to see, would you want to sort of address that question that Dr. Rajat Singh raised, that on the one hand, we should not, he's saying we shouldn't use prayer as a bargaining chip, and yet on the other hand, there seems to be suggestion in Gurbani that prayers will be answered.
Actually, I think the question is quite valid, but the answer is quite simple. Because when we pray, do we pray for material things? They will not be granted. On the other hand, Guru Sahib tells us, Mangana, Mangan Nika, Harjas Gurte Mangana. kya mangu ki sthir na rahai. What the Sikh wants is, but through prayer, not God to intervene on a worldly and material level. We are looking for the strength and the courage and the understanding to accept Guru's Pana and to get the blessing of name so we can remember him and correct ourselves and understand that God is running this world in his own way, and we should not be demanding like a good car or a son or a big house or something. I hope that answers the question somewhat.
Thank you. Actually, I often joke about this because people say कि अरदास सुनी नहीं गई, and I usually remind them, नहीं सुनी गई है. The answer is no. So when you ask for a car and don't get it or don't get that raise, I remind people that he's actually listening, but he's just saying no. So he does respond to prayers. Dr. I just think now that you've heard an answer, what do you have anything to add to that?
Oh, I would say that that's probably the kinder answer that a God could give you. What is that? De naam santokhiya utre man ki pukh, to ask that. But you see, the point is that there's a danger in thinking the other way, that he is doing everything right and everything is fine. But we do have a certain degree of free will to do what we can do, to do the dumb things that we do. Okay? Because if I'm going to blame God for everything, for a total control, then I'm not responsible for anything. I can't be held accountable either. So
but we were talking about whether or not prayers were answered, and I think
but what I'm saying is that there is more. No, there's the other side of the coin. One must keep in mind, because if the prayers are in, what shall I say? Prayers have become a petition, a confessional petition for forgiveness and rewards and punishment for others and so on. And that's not what a prayer is. A prayer is perhaps the voice of your own heart to connect you with the reality that surrounds you. And I don't know quite what I can say.
I think that was that is also, I think, the suggestion that was coming from Dr. Ranbir Singh is precisely along those lines, that you're not praying for material things, but you're praying for strength and courage and understanding to live in Guru's Pana. And to sort of live in whatever the outcome may be, regardless of the degree of free will that you have. Let me turn to Gurjeet Singh Virji, if he's around. I know he responded. Virji, if you're there, would you want to sort of comment?
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਜੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਅਰਦਾਸ this is a very basic concept which is ਦੋਏ ਕਰ ਜੋੜ ਕਰੂੰ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਤੇ what we do is ਅਸੀਂ ਹੱਥ ਜੋੜ ਲੈਨੇ ਹੱਥ ਜੋੜਨ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰਨ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਰ ਜੋੜਨ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ it's a Brahmic language so you have to find ਕਰ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ this is what Yogi has been told in this Pauri as well ਮੁੰਦਾ ਸੰਤੋਖ there is another ਪੰਕਤੀ ਸਤ ਸੰਤੋਖ ਹੋਵੇ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਤਾਂ ਸੁਣ ਸੱਦ ਬਹਾਲੇ ਪਾਸ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਅਜੇ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਜਾਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦੀ ਅੰਡਰਸਟੈਂਡਿੰਗ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਮਨ
can you confine yourself to English?
Yes, if your mind is in tricoty and because you move hirda, this ardas will never be answered. You have to bring your mind back into your heart. Then they are one. Then any ardas you do will be answered. But when you attain that stage, when your mind leaves the tricoty and comes into your heart or hirda or your nijkar, then you don't ask for things like we are asking. Then you say, like Nanak says, Nanak ki ardas sunije, keval naam hriday mein dije. So it means that we have not actually followed the Gurbani. We have not understood the Gurbani so far. And then whatever we have understood, we are trying to follow. There are 62,000 gurdwaras. Everyone says do Pakistan gurdwaras, this and that. So it will never be answered because your mind and your conscious are not together at that time. If you bring them together, any of the ardases will be answered.
Thank you, Ji. I think we are all saying the same thing here in sort of different ways. Paramjit Singh Ji, Rana, are you there? Let me call on you to give you a chance to express your opinion.
Hanji, yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, indeed, we can.
Yes. I have been hearing Ikin Karko and Dalbir Singh Ji and everybody else, and they have spent considerable time, and I really admire what they said. I don't I didn't spend much time, but listening to them, a few questions came to my mind, and I can pose those things for clarification.
Sure.
One thing, of course, from these lines, Dalbir Singh Ji just said that one thing a call for a creator is in the creation. Of course, he is in the creation, and also he is in the lap too. And I just want to make sure that when we talk about that, there's no separation. The words like Nirgun, Sargun has come, Nirlep and Sarvyapak has come. And also there's a line, Karkar Veke Sijanhar, in these three bodies we are reading about. Karkar Veke Sijanhar. The Veke, so he has to be separate from the creation to watch it. And Gurbani ji badi jagah aaya word कि as a खेल बनिया, this game, he's watching it. And he's so happy, contented, and totally indifferent to what is happening. So one point which I personally feel is that when we talk about the creation and creator are one and the same, I think that there is to some degree they're same, but also there's separation, and that's one point I want to make. The second thing is the word comes Lekhi Ave Pag. The word again, which I have repeated in earlier conversations, Pag, the Karam thing has come up again. Karams are again Pag, the preordained life, and I just want somebody to pick up and help me out to understand what that thing is coming. And final thing about Ardas and prayer, and I totally agree with what Gurbani Singh has just said, and I think other people might be saying the same thing. We have the words like the Prosa and faith in Gurbani so many times. If we don't have that one, then I think we are on a path which may not be fruitful. And I personally believe, yes, there is, if we do it properly, Ardas, they can be answered. And I've seen, I've heard, and I've experienced that type of things too. Yes, that does not mean that we should sit back and don't do as I.J. Singh Ji said that. Yes, we have our role to play, we have the free will to do, but the outcome of that will be by defined laws which are by hukam. All the things that are happening, we intersect with our actions, and outcome is going to be there defined by hukam. So that is my understanding regarding these bodies now. One thing is not clear to me whether Guru Nanak Sahib is really talking to yogis or they are just making a general observation by taking the metaphorical example of yogis and communicating that this is what is happening, mudra they are putting, and instead of doing that we have to have contentment and all that. So that has been very well explained by both Ikikarji and Dalbir Singh Ji. So I think I will start here.
Thank you, Ji. Hanji, Harvinder Singh Ji, I know that you have a question.
Hanji, I think I'm sure we will cover more in detail line by line, but one thing Dalbir Ji mentioned that for the last 40 Asan Loy Loy Pandar, Jo Kuch Paya So Ekavar, that the Vaheguru put everything Ekvar. But we discussed in the last few meetings, and we understand that world is evolving. It is still growing. So these two concepts don't go together. Either we are saying that the world is finite, if we are reading this line properly, or maybe we are not interpreting it correctly.
Okay. Maybe I should reach out to Dilpreet Singh and have him address this. Dilpreet?
Hanji.
There are a few questions aimed at you, so.
Right. So let me try to see that if if Dr. Ajay Singh asked a very interesting question, and I was stuck on that today. It is, and Harvinder also is pointing to the same Pauri. So in the same Pauri, when we are saying that ਭੁਗਤ ਗਿਆਨ ਦਿਆ ਭੰਡਾਰਨ ਘਟ ਘਟ ਵਾਜੇ ਨਾਥ ਆਪ ਨਾਥ ਨਾਥੀ ਸਭ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਰਿਤੇ ਦਵਰਾ ਸਾਧ, then there is a line which is ਸੰਜੋਗ ਵਿਜੋਗ ਦੋਏ ਕਾਰ ਚਲਾਵੈ ਲੇਖੇ ਆਵੇ ਭਾਗ. So again I was stuck on this line, that what is the meaning here? Sanjog, Vijog, doye kar chalave. So this is one line, and then lekhe ave pag. The way I understand this line is that Sanjog is union and Vijog is separation. So this union and separation, doye kar chalave, these both are responsible for whatever is going on here. And then I was trying to see that what is it that life starts with the union of some things, the life is starting, and then I was trying to correlate with the line that pavne mein pavan samaya jyoti sang jyot ral jaya mati mati hoi ek rovan har ki kavan tek. So again, so I was trying to link that everything is, some things are united here, and then that gives birth to the life, and then when at the end those things are separated, so this union of some things which exist here, and then the separation is that life and creation.
So do you think that we could simply describe this as the process of creation and destruction and sustenance that happens? I
Right.
mean, you can observe that happening around you.
Right. So, and then that's you're right. And then sanjog vijog doy kar chalave lekhe ave pag. Then
So the car here is the car of creation, I would suspect.
Right.
Is that right?
Right. All this creation, whatever we are saying, that Vaheguru's car, right, that he is creating, and
His work, his yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And then lekhe ave pag, that is where Dr. Ajay Singh asked that lekhe ave pag. I was stuck on this again, that lekhe ave pag is that whatever we are doing, our actions, by our actions we are defining our destiny. So it is not predefined. Once the creation is also happening because of union, and then once that creation is happening, it gives us the freedom to do our things and our actions, and the freedom of our actions is defining our destiny. So we are only responsible for writing our destiny and future. And then going back to Harvinder's question, that what I mean by that, it is that Pandare, which that he has put everything one time, is that it is, he has created this mechanism of self-creation, and which will continue forever, and this is never going to end. So it is in line with what we have discussed in the past.
So are you suggesting by mechanism that there is a process that has been put in place that is just working?
That's
once
right.
the process is in place?
That's right.
Okay.
I think it's a broader meaning when you say sanjog vijog doy kar chalave lekhe ave.
Okay, you want to say something?
Yeah. The broader meaning is expressed many places, much like day follows night. Sukh dukh do dar kapde pehre aaye manukh. So the good and the bad follow each other, and you will inherit both, or you'll live through both in time. So you do the best you can with it, and I think this is a commentary on that. It's a general commentary on the state of our existence.
Okay.
Is that concur? Might I add a thought
Yeah,
here?
I was going to reach out to you. Okay. Hey, Kunkarji, if you want to say something, just raise your hand so that I can call out in the right order.
Raise my hand? How can I do that here?
Yeah, well, metaphorically. So
there you go.
So that I can see it.
That's how the language is here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Hanji.
Okay, so very respectfully, I'm probably the only yogi in the group here. I've been practicing yoga for 23 years, so these lines mean a lot of different things for me as a practitioner. I don't read them as a criticism of yoga. I read them as Guru Nanak giving guidance to the traps that yogis fall into. And so when you look at this Pauri, actually before these lines...
so what is that trap? I mean, before you go on, what is that trap that they fall into?
Well, he talks about it here in these lines. So before he gets into Sanjog Vijog, he talks about Riddhisiddha Avara Sad. He talks about the Riddhis in the cities, that the occult powers, when you open your channels and you get very subtle and you start to be able to play in the universe in different ways than other people play, there's a lure towards these occult powers. And he's saying, look, that's false. You know, don't chase that experience. And for what the yogi, the ego of the yogi, the problem with the yogi is that I'm trying to force the union with God. I'm going off, I'm leaving society, I'm leaving family, I'm doing these really austere practices because I'm trying to force that merger out of my pain or out of my avoidance or out of my misunderstanding. And so in these lines, what he's doing is guiding the yogi that, look, you, number one, don't follow the occult powers. That's the wrong road to go. And number two, you have to understand that no matter how much you practice, the union is never going to be up to you. It's not up to you when you get to merge. Because the union and the separation are part of the divine play, and you can't, with your spiritual power, override what the Creator is doing. And so you've got to train yourself into this notion of, you know, lekhe, into this notion of it's written for you when you're going to merge. It's written for you when you're going to get liberated. It's not up to you. It's gonna happen by your destiny. And so if I can let go of feeling like I have the power to make the union happen and just say, okay, it's not in my hands, it's up to destiny, and the union and the separation are going on, and if I can not chase the occult powers, that actually, you know, for me, Guru Nanak is telling me how to be a good yogi. He's not telling me not to practice. He's giving me the parameters in which I can go into my practice very safely and really develop it without getting...
But let's step back to the first Pauri, the 28th Pauri. I mean, it seems to me that he's questioning their very lifestyle, and even in the Siddh Gosht, I mean, the very first thing that he throws at the yogis is, why are you wandering around? Why have you forgone social responsibilities? To me, that appears to be serious criticism.
It's criticism of the way they live, which isn't the same as criticism of the practice. And I think that for me in my study, is what has been misunderstood. Like when we look at, you know, Beinti is a yoga master, and his Bani is in Sri Guru Granth Sahib, and you look at the Vars of Bhai Gurdas, and Patanjali is called a Gurmukh. That Guru Nanak makes a distinction between what yoga teaches that you can access as a human being versus the culture the yogis created that was really off course. And so that to me is, I'm not saying other people should read it that way, that's been my own study and my own experience, is that he's curbing the culture of the yogis, which, like, you know, but you're talking about the 10th gate in Gurbani, you're talking about Aina and Pingala in Gurbani. These are yogic terms that describe yogic anatomy, which still have a lot of validity in my mind.
Yes, there are yogic terms, just like there are other terms that Guru Nanak has borrowed. But I think that his genius has been in investing them with his own meaning. So I think the context would become very important. So let me just reach out to Ranveer Singh. Uncle Ji, are you there? Do you want to comment on this?
I'm still here, and I don't want to offend too many people, but my understanding on this thing is...
just give us your opinion, and nobody will be offended.
Guru
We're sharing thoughts.
Guru Sahib never condemned anything. In fact, all faiths, all practices, they are all created by God's hukum. And what he's saying is that yoga by itself and the way it's practiced could be meaningless if it is not accompanied by, you know, vichar and understanding and study of Gurbani and things like that. So when he says Munda Santokh Sarampat Choli, he's giving importance to Santokh and other things. He's not condemning yoga as such.
So I hope you're not equating criticism with condemnation. In my mind, I mean,
he's not even criticizing. No, he's not criticizing.
No, I agree.
Guru Sahib is not criticizing. Guru Sahib is saying that yoga by itself is not enough. and Santokh is the important thing. Make this your mudra, and so on. Other things I have specified that those are much more important to understand Vaheguru than hoping that just yoga will lead you to divinity. And I think that's very important for us to note, because there are lots of other things. We object to other religions, we object to other practices, and Guru Sahib has never said this is bad, this is wrong. What he's saying is this is not enough by itself, and I think there's a big difference in that.
True. Can I add something to that?
Please go ahead. I do want to come back to.
Okay.
I hope I wasn't suggesting that he was condemning. I think that is a very strong word.
We'll see. We'll see. No, I think what he's really saying is what we say often, or we think about often, when you say Munda Santokh Sarampa Chodityan Ki Kare Viput, he's trying to suggest that Munda, the earrings and things of that nature, are markers of your lifestyle, but there are values associated with each marker. They should be, and that's what you should. They should define what you live, the qualities, the virtues, not necessarily just the symbols. I think that's what he talks about throughout Shabad. Now, if you follow that, let me throw a sort of a bit of a bombshell in there. Couldn't one now transfer that to today and say to a Sikh that, it's not the turban and the long hair and the 5 panchkakar that you wear, it's what each one stands for and what does it mean to you? Do they define you? Do the values define you or not? If they do, then that's okay. There's no condemnation. If they do not, then they're disconnected. And it's the disconnect that he's talking about here.
Yep. Thank you for that insight. And I think your question about whether or not our markers are associated with the values in individual lives is indeed a very important question, and something that we all ought to ask ourselves. So, Harvinder, who else is on the line? I'm trying to cover everybody here in my effort to be.
And I think for second round, Paramjit Veerji and Gurjeet Veerji.
Hanji, Gurjeet Singh Veerji, do you want to comment on the discussion for the past few minutes here? We are talking about the values associated with the outer signs.
Yeah. Gurbani talks about universal religion. Gurbani give advices to all religions. So this is an advice to Yogi. It's not a condemnation or anything. And secondly, it's not Guru Nanak's Bani. Don't put Guru Nanak in picture here that he's criticizing others. The Banis of Akal Purkh, hey Bani Mahapurkh ki. It's not Guru Nanak's Bani. Or Guru Nanak is not saying anything from his side. That's what Sachkhand wants him to say. A very honest opinion, what is going wrong with various sects in India. Yogis are serious sect in India. They are better than, because he says Padbo se pal Jog. Yogi is much better than the Vishnu Bhagat. But what has happened is Yogi has got no granth. He simply asked Nanak in Siddh Ghost, Kavan tumhe kya naam tumhara? Tu keda naam ratda hai bhai? He's asking simply Nanak. Which name you repeat? Guru Nanak has no name to repeat. So this is what Guru Nanak is trying to tell, that first is Munda Santokh. Santokh kino hona? We are missing that term completely. Who has to gain Santokh? ਅਸੀਂ ਮਨ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਹਰ ਕੱਢ ਦਿੰਨੇ ਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਡਿਸਕਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਮਨ has to be involved. Man is not in Santokh. That's why I discussed that in Ardas. Until man leaves its position from triquity, it won't come into heart, nothing is achieved. But for that you need Gurbani. Yogi doesn't have a Gurbani. He has to follow the Veds. Guru Nanak is not asking him to follow this. There are char pukare. He says to him, char pukare na tu manne. Khat bhi eha baad vikhane. 10 ashti mein lekho kahya. Ta bhi jogi bhed na lahya. The grants written before Gurbani. But Yogi is not understanding the fact. He's just going on his own way. He's trying to correct him if he follows the advice. But ultimately, Guru Nanak's own son joined the same sect here, and someone pointed very rightly, this is a Nath sect. Naths had an alignment with Muslims. Yogis were different. This is Nath. That's why it says Aap Nath, Nathi Sab Janki. So this is more to say about the Nath sect, who said that we will follow some of the Quranic principles. So I would like to end this by saying, and other thing was, Sanjog Vijog do kar chalai. There is either a Sanjog of man and chit, or it's a Bijog. When they are not together, when they are Bijog, lekhe ave bhag, uddan lekha gin ho jana toda. If they get together, then the lekha is not there because you are in Sachkhand. When they are not together, man and chit, Bijog, that's it. Sanjog mil vichudya, Vijogi male. This is also said in rehash Sahib. So I think we need to discuss this detail.
Hanji, thank you, Ji. Hanji. Paramjit Singh, Rana Ji, I think you haven't had a chance to pipe in.
I will just want to make two comments. One, Ajit Singh Ji said that we are not condemning anything or we are not criticizing. Even Guru Nanak Sahib didn't refuse to wear Janeau. We talk about the Guru Sahib refused to wear. He said it, if I don't remember the Shabad, Diya Kapas and Toksut. He said, okay, give me that Janeau. I want to wear it, but these conditions are there. So we choose these things sometimes by I think we are too aggressive in trying to understand it. So Guru Sahib, as Ajit Singh said and other people said, that no, he was not against these things. And the second point which I want to make is what Gurjeet Singh has raised that issue, and that is one thing which is my dilemma, that we are talking about these things to bring about change in ourselves, change in me, but we don't understand who this we is, who this me is, who this I is, who we are referring to, whom Guru Sahib is referring to. We don't exist. There's something in I, and sometimes people say I is your ego. So my point is, who is that you are referring to? So I am just, my dilemma is when I listen to everybody, whom are we addressing? Do we really understand? If we want to bring about a change, we have to understand what that I is, because Gurjeet Singh
So do you want to help us understand who that I is?
No, I don't. I'm still stuck.
Maybe you can enlighten us.
No, I can help if you want to, just in a minute.
Yes, and in fact, I put a blog on that, and I especially requested.
Okay, Gurjeet Singh Ji, you've got a couple of minutes, and then I want to go around to the other participants and get their opinion.
Okay, like I is the man, and we, me, jinu tu keha janda na, main Pauri. This is man saying, mera Ram Patar. That's the mood. Do address ho gaye na. Main Pauri is, that's my wisdom is Pauri, but my husband is Ram. Tu karta tu hua. This is my mood. This is what man is saying. Mujh mein raha na hu. Man keh raha hai, mere ch hu nahi reha. I have get rid of my ego, and I am only now you. So Sanjog and Vijog is also between these two, main and tu. Thank you, Ji.
Haji, we have about 10 minutes left. Can I make the last round, and have people respond to what they just heard about main, tu, man? Ekunkar Ji, you want to go first?
You know, it gets back to something that that's kind of a core study, which is that the mind is a servant. It's not the true identity, and the Nam is the Nam is not a name of some God guy out there. The Nam, when we get into the deep experience through Simran, is vibration of that divinity within me. And if I'm living from my mind, I'm living a really false, reality, because the servant has taken over the home. But if I'm living from, if my mind can recognize the light in me and recognize the soul in me, then I get to have a great, not a great life necessarily, but a real experience of what it means to be human. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
no, we just wanted your thoughts on this. I mean, it seems to me that the mind has been described variously in Gurbani. I mean, as something that is very base, as well as something that is in fact godlike, and that it is to the latter that we need to be treading. So in any case, let me reach out. Dr. Ajit Singh, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, in one place there's a line also, Manjit Jagjit, that's part of the Shabad, is it not?
Yes, it is.
So that is where ultimately the matter lies, on the man, the state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's directed to the state of mind, practices which are symbolic only of an appearance or of or shall I say a statement that you made in life, or practices that are connected to your life itself, the substance. That's what's being talked about. So the people that are being used here as an example, yogis, they are being held up. They are the elite of a society.
Right.
They always were, and they are like the scholars of the day. So they are what you mold the discussion around, and that's what it is. So criticism and things like that are not the issue.
Haji. Thank you, Ji. Dilpreet Singh Ji, last round.
Haji, see, there was a comment made on Jineo that Guru Nanak said that these are the qualities, but then he never wore the Jineo. He never told anyone, or he never adopted that, and he never said that let me wear with these qualities and prove it to the world. So I see it that he was against that. And then here also, where I am getting stuck, the words which are used, Munda is fine, but then he is using Saram, which is Mehnat, which belongs to hard work, that you have to do your work and you cannot run away from the family. And then, so these words we have to see that if all of these, whatever Guru Nanak is saying, that you replace with this, or you do this, if this is behind that, that whether that whatever the yoga mat is there, whether you can become a yogi without this or not, because yoga mat was all about doing these rituals, and it did not had any meaning similar to what Guru Nanak is giving. So that is where I am getting lost sometime, that if it is a criticism or it is he's condemning it, I still see it that he is asking them to give up these things, come back from the mountains, go back to the home, live in the family, and do your own work. Don't take from the people who are hardworking. Thank you.
Hanji, thank you, Ji. Hanji, Uncle Ranveer Singh Ji.
I'll pass.
Last round.
I'll pass.
Acha Ji. Harvinder Singh Ji.
Hanji, I'm good too, Ji.
Acha Ji. ਤੇ ਕੌਣ ਰਹਿ ਗਿਆ?
Gurjeet Singh Ji.
Gurjeet Singh Ji, Veer Ji, last round. You've got a minute.
Hanji, I think we are still stuck. I think I tried to clear it. कि गुरबानी एक advice है. ये advice आई है भगतां ਤੋਂ. And they are all the members of Sachkhand. ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਜੋ advice ਆਈ ਹੈ ਉਹਦਾ ਔਰ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ gap ਬੜਾ ਹੈ. And this is what is trying, that's what is Guru Nanak trying to revive out of yogis. There is also advice to Jainis, there is also advice to Buddhists, there is advice to Muslims in this Bani. Musliman moom dil hove, this is an advice, because he has left his track. So Guru Nanak is not doing anything. Sachkhand is trying to bring all those people on track. Jahan Gyan Ta Dharm hai. If you don't have a Granth of Gyan, which is directly spoken by Satguru, you won't be able to liberate from this world. Whatever you do, you wear munda, you wear something, that is an appearance of outside body. The religion is adopted by mind, not by the outer body. So even Khalsa's uniform it is. Though Panchakakar are not opaque, Yogi is wearing opaque. Panchakakars are not opaque because ultimately someone can challenge us. But yes, someone pointed out, someone can say what you are doing. Yes, a Sikh, Panchakakar is Sikh, can be seen going to the places and bowing head in front of Samadha. That's not nothing to do with what Sikhism says. So he's trying to revive what the true religion is, and if someone wants to take an advice, he's more than welcome.
Hanji, Paramjit Singh ji, Rana ji, I think you're the only one who's left.
I think he's disconnected. So, Ravinder Singh ji, if you can give your feedback on this.
I really have learnt a lot from everybody's view. I just think that we need to still, in my mind, perhaps I'm not doing a good enough job, make a distinction between criticism and condemnation, because I think there is a subtle, at least to my mind, and I could be off here, but the way I look at it is criticism to me is meant to sort of awaken, to point to the truth. Condemnation is really out of hatred. It's meant to destroy, and I don't think Guru Nanak meant to destroy. He certainly, as Gurjeet Singh Veerji said, this is advice. Advice is corrective, and I have always seen criticism as being a corrective. So that's the only thing I would say. And yes, Guru Nanak hasn't really come out and condemned anything, other, although I would argue with you that he certainly condemned Babur when he invaded India and brought, the harrowing sort of results of his invasion. But that's all I will say. I think it has been a great discussion. I think we need to come back to these pauris. We are not quite done with them. What do you think, Arvinder?
I think we have to cover each line because there's a message in each line, and we definitely want to go to deep meaning.
All right, we'll do that. I think I usually hijack this and start talking thematically. Maybe we'll come back and go line by line. With that said, thank you everyone for a wonderful evening. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Fateh Ji Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Fateh.